questions as we can. Coach, go ahead.
Well, I certainly appreciate the opportunity to be with you guys here today. And first of all, I'd like to say how proud I am of this group of young men, the kind of players, the kind of competitive character they had, the togetherness and the leadership that they gave our team is, I think, something that would benefit any organization or any team. So um, we always appreciate it when you guys pay attention to our players, and I certainly thank you for that. And we try to make it as hospitable as possible here at Alabama anytime the NFL is involved with anything that we do here because we understand and know what you guys have to go through. I've been on that side of it, so if we can do anything for you, just ask.
Okay, and with that, we will start with Alex Fleming at the Florida Sun.
Coach Saban, Alex Fleming, Florida Sun. Thank you for your time, sir.
Go ahead.
Coach Saban, you really don't have much to prove in the NCAA rankings. I believe you've already passed Bear Bryant, and you cranking out NFL talent. So what is your motivation? What keeps you going?
Yeah, well, I think every year is like a new year. Every year is a new team. It's a new challenge. It's like you took a new job. I always get excited about trying to build a team, and we have that challenge every year. In college football, you lose like 25% of your team every year. Most of the time, you lose the leadership and some really, really good players. Um, you got to really develop young players to try to take their place. It's very challenging. So, I enjoy doing that. I have a passion for it. Um, I think coaching is one of the greatest professions in the world. At this level, you have a chance to impact players in a very positive way as you help them develop as people, as students, and as football players. So I get excited about that. I hate to lose, so maybe that's why I get excited about it.
We'll go to Dan with the Chicago Tribune. Dan, go ahead.
Hey, Nick, Mac Jones has been very proud of his recall and his processing ability. I'm curious from a coach's standpoint what you've admired about that with him and other specific examples that really resonate for you.
Well, I think if you just watch Mac play throughout the course of the year, if it came to mental errors, he only made a few. He did it. He was always very well prepared. I think Sark did a great job with him, but he was always very well prepared, for every game. But he went out there and sort of, calmly just executed and took what the defense gave him and made the right choices and decisions based on what we had coached him to do. Seldom did he force the ball. Seldom did he turn it over. Um, really managed exactly what we expected him to manage. And I know that when you say a guy does that, everybody thinks he's not a very good player. He's not capable of anything else but managing. But to me, to be a good quarterback, you got to be a good manager. Then your ability to make plays sort of, goes from there. And Mac has ability to make plays because he's smart, he's accurate, he's going to throw the ball in the right place, and he's going to always help the offensive team be in the right situation, whether it's a run or a pass or whatever. So he is really, really smart, but he's always really well prepared. But I think he analyzes what's going to happen before it happens in terms of what the expectation is for him on that particular play, and he has a good visualization of what our players are doing and how the defense is going to react to it relative to what they do, and I think that's what helps his decision-making process so that he makes good choices and decisions.
We'll go to Orlando Ledbetter.
Yes, Coach. How does the Falcons like your weapons? We were thinking Najee might be Derrick Henry's replacement for the new coach here. How does Najee project into the NFL, given the line of running backs you've sent to the league?
Well, I think if you check the record, every running back that we've had here since we came here has been a third round or better in terms of the draft and how they got drafted. All right, so we're very proud of that in terms of the quality of guys we've been able to recruit, but also how they developed in the program here. And Najee is, I think, an exceptional player. He's got great size. He's a really good receiver. He's instinctive as a runner. He's tough. He's hard to tackle. And he kind of gets better as the game goes on. So he's got some really, really positive attributes. He's always been a really, really good team guy here. So I love the guy, and I think he'll be a really, really good player at the next level.
Go to Michael Gelkin with the Dallas Morning News. You can unmute, Michael.
That the Cowboys are considering about possibly bringing Surtain into their building as well. What kind of duo do you think those two could form, given their complementary skill sets at the NFL level?
Oh, well, I don't like to compare players, but Patrick Surtain is, first of all, he's a great person. He's never been in my office in 3 years for anything that he didn't do, and he does things exactly like you lay it out for him. If you want to talk about accountability and responsibility, you're never going to find anybody that'll do it any better than he does. And the guy's got really good skills to play the position. He's very instinctive. He's got great length. He's got great size. He's a good cover guy. He's got really good feet. He's smart. He understands the game. He understands, the offense and what they're trying to do. He's always very well prepared. We always give our guys a, little scouting report assignment that they have to do. And, his is always, the best of just about anybody that presents, to the team. So I think he's going to have a great career.
Go to Jonathan Alexander in Charlotte.
Hi, I hope you're doing well. I'm curious, in what way did you see Mac Jones grow most from his younger years to this past year?
Well, I just think Mac, I think it's a great example of what Mac did as a player. He came here, he was a scout team player. He had a hard time. He's very competitive. He wanted to do everything exactly right, and he had a very hard time managing his frustrations when things didn't go well, and it would affect his next play. So it took a little bit of maturity on his part to understand, hey, make a mistake, learn from it, don't waste a failing, play the next play. And he improved dramatically in all those areas, but Mac played behind some really, really good players here, whether it was Jalen Hurts, Tua, and he persevered, which I think is the greatest example for a lot of players. He didn't, I'm not going to start here, so I'm going to go someplace else. I mean, he stayed. He sort of worked hard to develop and improve, and he improved every year, mentally and physically, and turned out to have one of the greatest years of any quarterback in this particular season, this past season. So I'm really proud of what he did to become a player, then the leadership that he showed the rest of his teammates, in being in the position that he was, the starting quarterback. So great example of perseverance by a player.
We'll go to Michael Casagrande.
Dylan Moses was just up here and was talking about playing through a torn meniscus from the third game on. I guess, were you surprised by that? Were you aware of it? And, what did it say about him that he was able to play through it?
Well, I don't know if he had a torn meniscus. You could talk to the doctor about that. I know he had issues with his knee. We drained his knee a few times. Dr. Kane made all the decisions about how we should manage him, through the season. Dylan was very aware of it. And I do think it affected his performance a little bit, but I think it also speaks volumes of his character to be able to persevere through, overcoming, that kind of injury throughout the course of the season. So, he wanted to play. He obviously was a leader, for us on defense. It was great to have him out there. But all those decisions about his knee were made by, the medical staff here. So, and I know he got his knee cleaned up after the season. I don't know exactly what it was. You need to talk to Dr. Kane about that. And he feels, I think, a lot better now. And I think that's going to help him in the future.
Go to Adam Beasley in Miami.
I wanted to get your thoughts on Tua's first season in the NFL and how much reuniting with Devonta Smith might help his development.
You know, I don't get to watch professional games, and we work all day on Sunday. We work Monday nights. I don't see Monday Night Football, and you know, so I didn't get to see Tua play one game, you know, all last year. So I can't really. I don't think it's fair to me to evaluate, you know, what he did or didn't do or how he progressed. I know there's a lot written about it. I know he's a hard worker. He's got a lot of pride in performance, and I know that you know, there's a lot of improvement from the first year to the second year in most cases. You know, going to that level or coming from high school to here. So, you know, we think Tua will have a great career, and he'll continue to work hard and develop very nicely.
We'll go to Aaron Suttles.
With Mac Jones, how much is the belief in himself, that confidence that he has in himself, responsible for where he is today? Because, as you mentioned, there were people on social media when he committed to Alabama telling him he'd never play at Alabama, but he just always believed in himself and didn't listen to it.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm glad he doesn't listen to people on social media because, you know, if we did, we'd all be in trouble. But I think we try to get our players to focus on what's in front of them. You know, those things that you talk about on social media, good, bad, or indifferent, really external factors that you really don't have any control of. So, you know, you're just wasting your time when you listen to it and let it affect you, whether it's good or bad. You know, you need to stay focused on what's in front of you, try to improve, and I think Mac did a really, really good job of that. So, and I think it was, you know, indicated by the way he performed this year. So, and he does have confidence in himself, and I think he always did. But I also think he was smart enough to realize what his strengths were, what his weaknesses were, what he needed to work on, how he could get better. And he did a really good job of improving in all those areas, so he became a very complete player at his position this year.
Got time for a couple more. We'll go to Cameron Wolf next.
Hey, Nick, how you doing? Obviously, there's a lot of teams who've drafted your players over the years, but I guess over the last few years, Miami has wanted your guys, you know, Tua, Raekwon, Minka, Kenyon, probably have a couple guys this year that they like. What do you see as maybe a reason of that? Is it, you know, the relationship you have with them or what they see in your program?
I don't know. I don't think that's – I think it's a question for you to ask them, really. Look, we've had a lot of good players, and we've had a lot of guys do really, really well in the NFL. So, but there's no special relationship. You know, I think Chris Greer does a great job. He was there when I was there. We have a long-time relationship, but I think he's going to make all professional decisions relative to what they need and how they evaluate our players as an organization, just not, you know, what he thinks. So I can't really speak to that. I think that's a question you should ask them.
Okay, and we'll finish up with Cecil Hurt. Go ahead, Cecil.
Hi, Coach. I'm headed back from Indianapolis, so sorry if I'm just catching up. So, did you ever look at Devonta Smith and say, man, I wish he was bigger? And how do you respond when you hear people say that?
Well, I would first off say that I think his performance speaks for itself. And I'll be honest with you. You know, when we recruited Devonta Smith, he weighed 159 pounds, and I wished he was bigger. And now he weighs 170 pounds, and I think people at the next level are probably saying, I wish he was bigger. All right, but saying all that to say this, there are bigger people who don't perform anywhere near how he performs. There are people that are bigger than him that don't have the competitive spirit that he has, nor the competitive toughness. I mean, tell me how many receivers are tougher than he is, that block better, that play more physical than he does. So I think maybe there's a time when you say, this guy really overcomes the fact that he's not the biggest guy in the world, and he really plays this game really, really well. And I don't think anybody could argue that fact.
All right, Coach, thank you for your time. Guys, we will send a version of this to the NFL for you guys later to use. With that, that'll wrap up today's press conference. Thank you.
All right, thank you, guys.